Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the hashtag TFR Motivation Monday Zoom. We are Dr. Dondi and Marcy Nettles, and we've got some great year-end mind-expanding information for you in our topic tonight. Before we get to that, let's tell them about this YouTube channel.
Yeah, you know what? This YouTube channel has been there for you all year long. And so what that means is that there's all kinds of content there waiting for you to go take advantage of it. So all you need to do is go to YouTube, search Team Freedom Reigns, subscribe, ring the bell, and ask for notifications, and you will be notified each time that we upload new content. This is a valuable tool for you guys. Not only will you get the new content, but you can go back and you can watch all of the training calls that have happened over the past couple of years. A lot of great content there.
And what we're going to be talking about affects you 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
It's your time. It's the one thing you can never get back. It's also the one thing that so many different entities, whether it's people, companies, social media platforms, apps, they're all competing for your time because it's so valuable, it's unrecoverable, and it's priceless.
You know, there's another
That's
group,
why the battle is so strong.
Another group that's battling for your time too, and that's your family.
Your family.
That's your kids.
Yes.
It's your friends, right? Everybody wants some of your time, but where is your time going?
Right.
Where's it going? Ready?
Yep.
Okay, so you are
where your attention is. Where you focus your time is where you're at.
Yeah, and what you focus on is also what you get more of, right? So if you're focusing on positive things, you're going to get positivity. If you're focusing on negative things, you're going to get more negativity. If you're focusing on mind numbing things, you're going to get more numb-mindedness, right?
What you think about, you bring about.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't get much done when your mind is numb.
No, or distracted. It's all about that. I love this quote. Our attention is nowhere and everywhere all at once, because we are constantly in this reality of 24/7, 365. There's 60 seconds in every minute. There's 60 minutes in every day. There's 24 hours in every day. It's just, what are we doing during that time? And is it making a difference? Are people benefiting? Are we ourselves benefiting? Or are families benefiting? Most of the time, it really depends on what we focus on. But there are some significant things that affect us in our business. So this is when you're working, whether you have a regular job, whether you're doing network marketing part-time, your regular job part-time, or you're doing network marketing full-time, or your regular job full-time. You only have 24 hours in a day, and there's things that are competing for that time when you're at work.
And before we get into the things that are competing for the time, it's like, I want to ask a question. And please put me in the comment section if it applies to you. Have you ever gone throughout a full day, and at the end of the day, you're exhausted, but when you think about what happened, you're like, what did I really do? What did I get done? Oh my gosh, I wanted to do this, 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 and this. What did I do? Does that apply to you? Does that sound familiar? I know it does me. I would be putting me in the comment section right now, because I've had many days in this past year that I have really been wondering. It's like, what did I even do today?
Right.
I'm so tired, but what did I even do?
Absolutely. And it's one of, I have over here to the side, I'm going to step away once we get in the next couple of slides to show you how important your attention span is, because now, especially in COVID times, especially in the pandemic, people are spending on average 13 plus hours per day on an electronic device that has a screen on it, which is why we came up with the IC Bright product. The IC Bright product is because we have so much blue light coming at us. Well, what are we doing during that time? A lot of it is during the business. In fact, the majority of that 13 hours is during business time. But are we doing our job description, or are we being distracted by other things like ads or notifications? We call them pop-up ads. Whether it's online, you have something that pops up. You may have a pop-up ad blocker, or you may be on your navigation device or your, what do they call that? when you're online, what do you want? Your browser. Your browser has pop-up blockers. That's fine, but you get notifications in other ways. And especially if you're using your smartphone and your desktop or your laptop simultaneously, there's apps that will draw your attention. There's social media. So this is the thing for me. Do you think it's by accident that when you log on to Facebook, from the top of your screen down, because we read left to right, top to bottom, what's at the top? Stories. And all you have to do is scroll left and you see all these little stories. They're just little bits of information, little bits of time distraction, and it shows 4 or 5 of them on your screen. And what are they? They're visual. So something catches your eye and you click on it, and now you're in that person's. And guess what? It doesn't stop.
No.
Guess it is programmed that as soon as this one stops, the next one begins, because your time is precious. You only wanted to watch the one you clicked on, but you end up watching the 4, 5, or 6 after it, because that's how the program is designed. We read something, we were reading some information in preparation for this. And do you realize that the top 5 big tech companies, you know who they are, Amazon, Google, Facebook, you know those, Instagram, their goal is to get you to look at them every 6 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
It's their goal, not yours.
No.
Their goal is to get you to consume their product, which is you click on whatever they have every 6 minutes. That is crazy. That's the design. If you haven't seen it yet, there's a movie called The Social Dilemma. You must watch it. And they have caricatures, how they actually create this. What do we now know that they're called? Algorithms. And we've heard about AI. We talk about having AI in our own app that we are designing. What does it do? It learns your clicking habits. Once it learns your clicking habits, it becomes part of your process. Have you ever gone and looked at something on Google? You typed in something, you looked on Google, whether it's a pair of shoes, some camping gear or whatever, or a fishing pole. And then the next time you log on Facebook, there's an ad for a fishing pole or camping gear or the clothes you just happened to be looking at. Do you think that was by accident or by random chance? No, it was by design. That's called AI. And it's not just human to human interaction. You are interacting with bots, which are computer programs as often, sometimes even more, than you're interacting with people. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of thing that's why it's so important, and how they program this every 6 minutes of your time. Well, this person likes camping gear. This person likes this. So guess what's going to be in your feed? All of these things that are going to draw your attention. Like today, literally in preparation for this, I went online to go do something, and what happened? Sam Flake, if you're watching this, it's your fault, because one of your kids' favorite toys for Christmas was this thing that looked like a cobra, like a remote control cobra. I love snakes. I saw this snake on the ground, which was the visual part of it. Oops. I clicked on it, and next thing I know, I'm in Sam Flake's stories. And then after that, Marcy goes, "What, did you get distracted?" And I'm like, well, yep. I did. Yes. But so I thought, well, I'll click on Sam's snake first, and then I'll go look at what I originally intended to. I'm not the only one that happens to, and it doesn't happen to me just once or twice or 10 times. It happens multiple times a day, because that's how it's designed. Mm-hmm. And so it's not just your fault. The odds are stacked against you. You are going to be distracted. You are going to be losing your attention elsewhere because of these things that are directly programmed to do that.
Yeah. And this time of year, you will also be getting a lot of distraction through email and text. Yes. Because we just came through a massive shopping season, right? And when we do shopping, we all like to get the best price on the things that we purchase, right? And so what they've done is they've created this series of opt-in, right? So they want to get your email, or they want to get your cell phone number to be able to give you a discount code, right? And that's awesome to get that discount code, because you got it on sale, right?
Everybody,
and so that's like a huge win. You're given a great gift and you got it on sale. But what you don't realize, or maybe you do, and then you just have to go clean it up like we do, is that you have now opted in to them sending you text messages whenever they desire to, or sending you emails whenever they want to, whether you want to get them or not. You are now being distracted in your email inbox and through your text messages because you opted in to get a discount on something, right? And so that is just something else that is stealing your attention and stealing your time. So we're going to be talking about what, we're going to challenge you to do here at the end of this call.
Yes.
So, you ready?
I'm ready. So here's the reality. It's a constant battle for consumer attention.
Mhm.
Your attention span is literally priceless. It's why they're all competing so feverishly for it, because your attention span means clicks. Where your attention goes, that's usually where your money is spent. It's not by accident, it's by design. So the more likely, or the longer you spend on a certain platform, the more likely you're going to spend money, because the longer you spend, the longer time you spend, the more clicks you have. This algorithm is building every single time you make a click.
And they just get
And
better
it's
and better
not-
at selling you.
Right, it's not building in your favor. Unfortunately, it's building in their favor. Remember, every 6 minutes, they want you on their platform. And that's going to change from every 5 to every 4 to every 3 before you know it, you're wired in. You live there 24/7, 365, unfortunately. But there are some ways we want to share with you in the last, as we conclude tonight's call with a call to action on how to recover some of your time back. But you have to be deliberate and intentional on it, because this is the reality. It's a constant battle for your time.
Yeah,
and your attention.
It's seriously, there is a war out there,
Literally.
all focused on you. And so if you said me to that question that I asked earlier about if you've had any of those days to where you've gone throughout your day and at the end of the night, you're exhausted and you feel like you did so much, but then you look back at your calendar, you look back at the things that you did, and you're like, what did I even do today? It's because of this battle. It's because this war that is coming up against you. And what we want to let you know is that you absolutely have to be at war for yourself. You have to be aware of this so that you can be battling against all of these different platforms that are stealing your attention, stealing your time.
Yes. Without your consent.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just happen at work, it happens at home too. It's designed that way because our attention is nowhere and everywhere all at once. So things like Netflix. So the things, and it just, remember, we don't have Netflix anymore, but when we did, when you log on after having logged off the previous day, it'll say resume, or because you like this, you're going to like this. This is a suggestion because you watch this show or this program or this movie. They give you recommendations. That's the algorithm. It's starting to figure you out. They know how you think oftentimes more efficiently than you do, because they know where you're spending your time. So Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Prime Video, YouTube. You can go down YouTube rabbit holes. The whole thing on the right side. The right side is where your eye goes. We read left to right, up to down. So they capitalize it on the right side, down the margin. You go over that way and you go scroll down. That's where they put it deliberately. Pretty amazing, right? It's just science. They know how the human body works and how the human brain works. Email, smartphones. These are all things that if you use them correctly, they're very productive. But they realize most of the time your guard is down when you're using them, and you're very very easily distracted, and your attention is very easily drifted away by something that you're interested in when you're going there. Like I said, I went on to do something onto Facebook, saw Sam Flake's thing and went there first. Marcy caught me. You're distracted. We were watching some videos today on stocks, how improving our understanding of stocks and being investors. And I look over and Marcy's on her phone.
And you caught me.
Caught her. But those are the kinds of things. It's awareness, self-awareness. And we're going to share with you guys some ideas. Once you catch yourself in it, you can now start to reprogram that bad programming that you're falling into, but they're also luring you there.
Yeah, well, gosh, they really are. And they're getting better and better and better at it, because even all of these things that Dondi shared on this slide right here, when you look at this, we had the experience that when we go out of town, we have somebody come and stay at our house so that they can be here for our home, but also for our animals, right? And to make it look like somebody's here and all that good stuff, right? Well, we came home and she had logged into her account on Hulu.
We don't have Hulu.
Which it's all good. We appreciate it because,
Yeah.
every once in a while we'll catch something that we want to watch on there. But we noticed that Hulu has started these pop-up ads on the screen for every commercial that they have saying, do you want us to send this information to your cell phone or do you want us to send it to your email? Even on these video watching platforms, they are starting to be really, really good at capturing your information and then trying to sell you over and over and over again. And no, we did not have all these sent to our friends, text or email. We did consider it,
But here's something that's brilliant. To Marcy's point, but for those of you who have Hulu, you probably already know this. We don't have the Hulu subscription, but when somebody stays at our house and they leave their logged in, we can capitalize on it. But it shows, so you're now watching on a TV, right? But this is the brilliance in how they do that. They have over to the right side a QR code. All you do is turn on your phone and turn your camera on, scroll over or point it at the QR code, and your attention just went from the TV onto your phone. It's brilliant. Now they have you in two different places. So now you just capitalize on what you watched on the commercial, but it just transferred to your phone and you did it. You think you're going to get this great bonus or this great bargain on this thing. There's whether it's a perfume or whatever it is. You take your phone, you turn on the camera, you go over the QR code, and now it pops up right in. Brilliant technology, but they
for
just
them,
got
it's
you
brilliant
like a
for
fish.
them, but it is not brilliant for you.
No.
It's stealing
It is
from you.
It's almost criminal how efficient they are at it.
Yeah, we just need to be better.
Right. So this is, I love this, weapons of mass distraction. And this comic on the left side is so mean, which is why I put it in there. It's like, she says, I'm too easily just, oh, look, a cat. It's like, or a dog or a squirrel or whatever, a dust particle in the air. Sometimes my attention
meme of
span
any kind,
is so
a video
easily tampered with.
on any platform.
Yes, but these are the ones that are capitalized: Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Funimation, Prime Video, Apple TV Plus, Crunchyroll. That's for anime and a lot of other things. I didn't even know there was a Crunchyroll until I heard our sons talking about it. Our oldest son talking to our younger son about subscribing to Crunchyroll and getting every episode of every anime ever. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Never even heard of it. To me, Crunchyroll is something you get when you go to sushi.
Yeah.
But it's something that's obviously getting a lot of attention. Both of our sons were aware of it. And I don't know, did you hear that conversation? Because I was like, what is that?
No. Yeah, but it's distraction, which leads to destruction.
Oh, yes.
Right? I mean, because what's happening is that when you're spending your time on all of these different things that have distracted you, it's completely destructing your day, your calendar, your plan, your intentions, your desires, your goals, your dreams are all going boom, because the time that you intended on spending, growing that goal, accomplishing that dream, just went out the window on one of these stupid platforms that has distracted you.
Oh, can't do big things when you're distracted by small things. And I think there's a perfect, this slide is, I want to read something. There was a Harvard Business Review is absolutely amazing. If you haven't subscribed to that, again, spending your time, but this is something where you can understand. And Harvard is one of the most prestigious medical universities and universities in general. It's where wicked smart people go.
Wicked smart.
But in Inc. magazine, they published the data from this Harvard study where they took over 2,000 people in the workplace, and they were they were collecting data on their attention span. And having them they would just randomly send them questions on what are you doing at this time? And they collected over 2,000 people they were doing this on. They collected over 250,000 data points on what were these 2,000 plus people doing at each individual time and how much of that time was spent on what was in front of them. In other words, in their work, they're supposed to be doing their job duties. This is what they found. It was absolutely crazy. And it says this: after giving a recent keynote, I was speaking with some audience members, all CEOs of small companies. They were describing how exasperating it is to keep today's employees engaged and fully focused. One asked if I had data on how often employees aren't present in the moment and are instead multitasking, daydreaming, or are absorbed in any other distraction. I recalled a study from my book, Find the Fire, and shared it with them. They were flabbergasted, which led me to share it with you here. So this is the deal. Harvard University psychologists Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert conducted a study with 2,250 people, checking with them at random times via a phone app, okay, to record what they were doing at that moment and what their mind was focused on. 250,000 data points later, they determined that the test subjects and all of us by extrapolation had wandering minds, i.e. were not paying attention or fully engaged with what was right in front of them a whopping 47% of the time. So 47% of the time, we are distracted by what we're supposed to be. We're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And he says, and here's the real kicker. The study further determined that a wandering mind is not a happy mind. And being present in the moment was the cause of test subjects who reported unhappiness, not the consequence. So 47% of the time when we're supposed to be doing something productive, we're not, because we're distracted on something else that is not in front of us. And most of the time it leads to unhappiness. That's crazy, but that's the reality of the world that we live in. And in another study I was reading to Marcy before we got on tonight, this is something that a recent Pew Foundation study showed that around 90% of adults in the US took out a phone during their most recent social interaction. So 90% of the time people are in a social interaction, they pull out their phone. And roughly 80% reported that doing so diminished the conversation.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, what kind of
But that's the world we're living in. I mean, have you ever been on a phone call and you could just tell by the person's response, they're doing something else? They're distracted. We all have. Imagine that happening 47% of the time you're supposed to be doing work, and 90% of the time you have a social interaction, one or both of the people pulls out their phone. It's great. And 80% of the time it leads to a degradation of that conversation. That should tell us. These are statistics. These are just data points that we're understanding. And the whole thing, this is the other thing, we already mentioned it, but I wanted to read more about what it said here. Go back to that.
Well, one of the things that I thought was really interesting in one of the articles he was reading today was about how adults actually use their kids as excuses to be on their phone more often, because so many more kids now have cell phones that instead of confronting the kids and having them put their cell phones down, parents are actually using it as an excuse to be on their cell phones more. How crazy is that? I think that's absolutely ridiculous, but go ahead.
So remember what we told you, this is what it said. So this is the guy who wrote this article, another article, Williams is the author, would argue that when you wake up in the morning, checking your phone on average every 6 minutes is probably not a goal for you or that you would set for yourself, but it is their goal. I told you those top 5 tech giants. It says, and the way this clash of goals, ours versus the tech companies, plays out in Silicon Valley is revealing. Get this. According to Jason Lanier, the higher up in management you go, on the ladder of these big tech companies, the more restrictive the employees are with letting their own children use smartphones or social media at all.
Because they know what's going on.
They know what's happening. They're designing it that way. So the people that have designed these algorithms to distract you once every 6 minutes to go to their platform are not letting their own children have smartphones or use social media. That should tell you something. It's good, not good for their kids, but it's good for yours. Or not good for them, but it's good for you. The people that are the highest level of executives in these top 5 tech companies don't do it for themselves or their families, but they're programming you to do it. They're literally programming us. That's crazy. That's revealing. But knowing that, it gives us the upper hand.
Yeah, it really does. But one other thing to consider, and I think this is huge, is that, you know how we always talk about you become the sum of the 5 people you hang around the most, right? So it's really important to pick and choose who you are spending time with. I know, spending time with, that you're doing things with, that you're learning from, that you're growing with and experiencing life with. Well, Jim Rohn is the one that said it. So you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So consider this, you can actually take people out of that quote and you can actually substitute what movies you're watching or videos or books you're consuming, or how much, you are the average of the social media that you're consuming, TikTok reels that you're watching, Facebook and Instagram stories that you are spending so much time on. What is really formulating who you are? What is depicting who you're going to be tomorrow? Because what you consume in your mind, in your heart, in your emotions, that is what creates who you are and what you're capable of doing. So how much positivity is there on social media? How much personal growth is there truly on social media? Or how much negativity, how much destruction, and how much pain do people share? Or how much arguing or just people being mean to each other and not giving each other grace is on social media? So really, really be considering what you're doing on a daily basis, and just decide that you're going to take your time back. You're going to take your focus back, and that you're not going to give in to that 6 minutes, every 6 minutes that you're checking a social platform or checking your email or checking whatever it is on a device, right? And so we want to talk about a few things. You want to share? You've got something else there to share?
Yeah, I told you, I alluded to it earlier. It's like 19 or 20 page report. Anyway, there's a report called Screen Time 2020 Report, Attitudes and Opinions of Employers and Eye Care Providers About Screen Time and Blue Light. This reality, so it's like a 20-page study that talks about that, and just some of the statistics in here is that 94% of eye doctors are concerned about how much time people are spending on electronic devices. 47% of that time is unproductive because they're distracted. So the more distracted you are, you have certain tasks you have to get done. But if you're distracted 47% of the time, it takes you 47% longer to do it. So you're spending more time on devices. 94% of eye doctors are concerned about that. 78% of employers are concerned about how much screen time their employees are doing. And the reality, and it's because it's destructive to our eyes. It leads to eye degradation. Again, why we came out with Icy Bright, the Icy Bright product, is for that reality. But knowing now how much time we spend and how much of it is productive versus unproductive, we can now take some of the things we're going to share with you in these realities, where you're spending your time, and give you some tips, give you some calls to action to limit your distraction, limit your losing the battle of your attention, and regaining back some of that time, because time you cannot replace. Once it's gone, it's gone. But now going into a new year, there are people that have health challenges that you may or may not be aware of. There are people that have financial challenges that you may or may not be aware of. There are people out there that may have both that you may or may not be aware of. There may be people that are perfectly healthy and they have enough money, but they're looking to be involved in something that matters, to be part of a community, a tribe that is doing something altruistic, something meaningful, some kind of purpose that makes the world better, whether it be a conservation strategy or just donating their time. There's a lot of people that would find that are wealthy, that have good health because they can afford it, but they just don't have meaning in their life. Think of somebody like Robin Williams. He got every award you could possibly get as an actor. He had enough money to be, to provide for himself and his children's children for millennia, but he was unfulfilled inside. And yes, I don't mean to disparage mental illness and other things that come along with that, but a lot of times when you do something, we've shared this before, when you do an act of random kindness for someone, your endorphins, your natural feel-good chemicals go up by 600%. Doing something good for someone who can't possibly pay you back, or even anonymously, blesses you so significantly. There's a lot of people out there that are looking for those things. But if you're distracted, because they said 90% of the time in interactions, people pull out their phone, and 80% of the time it robs of the conversation. What if somebody's trying to tell you something vulnerably, and you're checking an email and you didn't quite get the lure they gave you, the vulnerable moment, and you missed it? Think about that. There's people's welfare, there's people's livelihoods, there's people's finances, people's reputation, people's legacies that are in the balance. And if we're not fully attentive with them, we can miss the opportunity to bless them. So let's focus, let's refocus going into a new year with a new strategy. on how can we be more attentive and being more aware for that the battle that is being wielded against us for our attention, and help us not be as distracted. So first and foremost, the best thing to do is prioritize. Prioritize your life and the things that are important to you and the people that are important to you and the things that mean the most to you. And then once you prioritize those things, write them down in order of importance if you need to, because this is the thing about goal setting. 97% of people who have goals and don't write them down never achieve them. But only 3% of people who have goals write them down. And those 3% of people who have goals and write them down are 97% of the income, because they already know what they want. They write it down. They take action steps daily. It's another Harvard study. So prioritize what you want, write them down in priority, and then start taking an audit of where are you giving up time in those things. And I can tell you want to say something, so go ahead.
Well, just when you're making your priorities, first of all, it's like understanding that first you've got to do that self-reflection and find out what your priorities are. So for us, it's God, our marriage, our kids and our family, and then LifeVantage, and then church callings, right? And so you have to know what your priorities are, and so that you can actually block out the time in your calendar. And then as you block out the time in your calendar, when you sit down to do the things in that block that it's supposed to be specifically for, one of the things that I am going to try in 2022, because I have been highly distracted as well, is number one is I'm going to make myself a note outside of whatever I'm doing of what my focus is for that moment. I'm going to set myself some alarms so that like every 15 minutes, I'm going back and checking that note. Am I doing the things that I'm supposed to be focused on right now? Because it's really easy to get distracted. And instead of condemning myself, I want to give myself some grace and just pull myself back out of that hole and get focused again, right? And so a lot of the times that's going to mean that if I'm working on my computer, then I'm going to have this in a different room or somewhere where it's not right in front of my face, to where if something pops up or if the light comes on or something happens, it doesn't distract me away from what that priority is at that block of time, right? So just really making sure that we get ourselves a structured system in place in our calendar that helps us to stay focused. But before you can really do that, I mean, you've really got to do the things that you're going to be talking about, and that's doing that audit of what has stolen your time in 2021 and rectifying that. So what ideas do you have around that?
First of all, and this is something that Marcy just shared with me recently, but it's something that drives me absolutely crazy: notifications. So, I mean, Marcy, a lot of times I'm down here in the media room, Marcy's upstairs in our business office in the loft, and we'll be in a group text. And I'm in the middle of doing something on my phone, and every time Marcy sends a text, it pops down, and I'm like, I'll yell at her, "You're killing me. Stop sending text right now," because I'm so, every time it pops down, it distracts me. And it like literally a couple weeks ago, she's like, "Turn off your notifications." And so I realized the way I had my notifications set is banner type. So every time I got a notification of a text, it would drop down in the top of my phone screen. And this is the thing that drives me crazy. A lot of times I'll go to click on something and then the notification comes down. And as soon as like a millisecond before I touch the app or wherever I'm going to go, that banner ad comes down and I hit it. And now it takes me out of the screen, and that drives me crazy. She says, turn your banner notifications off. Put it either on your lock screen or in your notification center. I'm like, you could do that? So she showed there's 3 options for notification. Well, there's 4 options. Turn them off altogether, or turn off the lock screen, the notification center, or banners. Then it's just a little red number next to that app. And if you don't want to be, but those little red numbers distract people too. How do I know? Because it distracts me. Turn on my phone, I see all these little circles with all these red numbers. I go to that, go to that, go to that. Turn off your notification, because it didn't need to be addressed right then, because you know inherently what is important. Either somebody told you, they sent you a text, they reminded you. You don't need the little distraction notification. So my recommendation, turn off your distractions, or turn off your notifications so they don't distract you. And in situations where you can't turn them off, things like, I now know I can turn off the banner ad, so it doesn't drop down in my screen every time I get a text. And it was yesterday. No, it was like Target. She goes, "Why are you getting Target notifications?" I'm like, what? I'm like, "I'm not." She goes, "Yes, you are." And she pointed to my phone and a Target notification. It's like, I don't know. I apparently signed up for an email and not intentionally, distracted wise. And now I looked and I had all these emails from Target, and they're also sending me text messages. So went in there, turned off all notifications for Target and unsubscribed to their email. So that's the next thing. Turn off or unsubscribe. Go into your email and unsubscribe to the things that are not immediately relevant. Marcy and I just did this 1-year audit. If there is apps on your phone that you have not used in a year, delete them because they probably aren't important in your life now. Maybe it was, like there was this one called helium something where you could make it sound like you were inhaling helium. And I used to love to play around with the kids 5 years ago. It's still on my phone. I deleted it yesterday. And I was like, oh my gosh, why do I have that thing on there? Because I haven't used it, but it's still taking up space. It had notifications on. And so turn off your notifications. Go through and unsubscribe to emails. Here's another thing. Turn off the TV. There's no PV or GV or OV in the TV.
Yeah, I loved what Mary Ellen said in the comments. She said that, she'll watch a movie on Friday or Saturday night. Those are the only nights that she allows herself to do that. And I think that's beautiful. It's perfect. It's a great reward system for a week well worked, right?
Yes.
So great job, Mary Ellen.
Set family boundaries. No phones at the dinner table. Just as an example. No phone. They were sharing, like Marcy said, parents are feeling justified to be on their phones because the kids are on their phones. Well, who gave the kid the phone? The parents are the kids are just modeling what they see the parents do. So if the parents are always on the phone, the kids get on their phones, and you now start to reprogram an entire generation.
Well, and
so set boundaries.
If you think you have low self-control with your phone and with notifications, just think about your kids. They have even less control than you do. Because they have less experience, right? And it's such a gratification thing, their phones. So we have to set the examples, set the, the restrictions, and definitely prioritize family time.
Yeah. And if you're building your business, we have this times of what we call IPA, income producing activities. Chunk those times down into 15-minute blocks. If you can do 2, 3, or 4 back to back to back. So you can do half hour at a time. 45 minutes at a time, a power hour with 4 blocks of 15-minute IPA, income producing activity. And during that time, turn your phone off, or better yet, go put your phone in another room. If you know people may be needing you, tell them, hey, look, for the next hour, I'm going to be chunking my time and I'm going to be spending all my time building my business. If you need me, call me in an hour. Let people know if you have to. So to stop, if you have babies, whatever the case, the situation where you need to let people know. But ideally, turn your phone off. Take it off of vibrate. Take it off of whatever, because those vibrations are also, you may not have your notifications turned on, or you're, or you've got that annoying blink, the camera light on the back, it starts flashing. Those are there to distract you. Turn them off. You don't need to, it was just an email that Target sent you that you didn't subscribe to it. So that's why when my notifications don't go out, the light on the back of my phone doesn't go off, but I see people doing that all the time. I can see notification. I can see it in your pocket when you don't even see it. I see your pocket flashing. It means you're getting notifications. Turn that kind of stuff off.
Is that
it's
your
just
phone
a distraction.
flashing, or are you just happy to see me? All right, sorry guys.
She went there.
That was a little distraction right there, right? All right, what's the last ones you've got here?
So in your IPA time, no phones, no emails, don't check your emails, and no social media. Don't get on your social media platforms.
Unless it is your actual
IPA.
IPA.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're commenting, you're interacting with people back and forth on Messenger or Instagram, whatever it is, that's fine.
Got to slow the scroll.
But stay out of the rabbit holes. And then this is another thing. When you get unsolicited texts, just type in the word stop and it'll take you out of that. If it comes from a number, like I have my unrecognized numbers blocked. So when occasionally someone will come through, I'll just type in stop and it'll say you have unsubscribed. I didn't subscribe in the first place, but now I just unsubscribed. Go through and just do an internal audit on what you're doing, who is robbing you of your time, and just put stop gaps in place for them. And then, this is a thing that this is one of my biggest distractions. Reels on Facebook. When I go on Facebook to make a comment or I'm engaging somebody, and then it's got this little Reels thing. You can go in, there's 3 dots all the way to the right, go in there and turn it off. It doesn't turn it off all the way, but it limits your exposure. If you keep limiting it and keep limiting it and keep limiting it, guess what's happening? The algorithm is being reprogrammed. And eventually, if you keep turning it off, they know it's not making you money. or it's not making them money because you're not clicking on it. They'll try to figure out some other way. But if you can go on the offensive by looking for what is going to distract you and becoming offensive and turning it off or limiting it or unsubscribing to it or blocking it, the better off you're going to be, and the more of your own personal time, valuable time, other people's important time, you're going to be able to recapture.
Yeah. And you guys, we felt like it was important for us to bring this information to you because we are coming to the close of 2021, because we wanted you to understand that there truly is a way that you can take the time that you lost in 2021 and then renew it in 2022.
Yes.
By eliminating the distractions, making the actual choices of where you're focusing, with the understanding that what you focus on is what you get, and who you become is who you're spending your time with.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure that you make those conscious decisions moving into this new year, because, you know, we could talk all day long about setting goals and what you want to do for the year. But if you set goals and haven't really set down and drawn the line in the sand on what you're going to allow to distract you, then those goals are not going to be accomplished because your time was stolen again.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We've got to be really aware of every single moment, where it's going, where we're spending it, because it truly is our most valuable asset. As Dondi said, we can't get it back. So let's make sure that as we roll into this new year, that we just honor our time, we eliminate the distractions, and we decide to focus on really what matters. And that is, you know, our priorities.
Mm.
So set your priorities and stick to them.
And another thing, we thought the 5 people that you spend the most time with, you become the average of them. And we didn't want to make sure, we didn't want to only talk about the negative side of that, the positive side of that. You may think, well, I don't have any friends that I, you know, there are people that I admire, people that I aspire to be. Well, that counts. Read their books. Go read the classics. Read Think and Grow Rich and The Millionaire Next Door and The Power of the Subconscious Mind and things of that, and The Greatest Salesman in the World. Let those people, those classic, brilliant writers, those innovators, those original people that started the whole personal development thing, let those people, even more modern times with Tony Robbins and people like that, let them become the 5 people you hang out with the most. Because when you listen to someone else's mind or read autobiographies of people that you admire, spending time reading and consuming their content is just like spending time with them.
Yeah.
That counts. So they don't have to be alive. They don't even have to be somebody you have to hang around with literally face to face. Listening to Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, is hanging out with Og Mandino, because that's his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Do those kinds of things over and over and over, and guard your time preciously, and choose who occupies your mental bandwidth and your time. Mm-hmm. And if it's somebody that can uplift you, and in uplifting you help uplift someone else, and have your attention span be more focused on the needs of people, the greater off, or the better off everyone is.
Yeah, because for every destructive decision and choice, there is a positive one. Yeah. And there's more and more every single day. So go and find what you enjoy consuming. So it can be, like Dondi said, that it can be the books, it can be audios, it can be podcasts, guys. There's all kinds of podcasts out there that you can participate in, but find it. And I loved what Queenie said. She said that she's going to eliminate the distraction, that she's committed to eliminating the distraction. So great job, Queenie. Way to make that decision. And we hope that every single one of you will make that decision. So this is the last TFR Motivation Monday call in 2021, guys. So we are so grateful for every single one of you. We're grateful for your time and your energy. We hope that you can regain your focus just as we are working to regain ours, and that 2022 will be a breakout year for every single one of us, and every single goal, dream, and aspiration that we have for this coming year. So we love you guys. We appreciate you, and just are so thankful that we are on this journey with each and every single one of you.
Yes, every one of you. God bless you. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.